pretty cute. Oh my. Okay.
Mom, I'd like to ask you
Yes.
how we all got named.
Oh, well, Edie got named. Of
Well,
course,
wait. So let's start with Edie.
Okay.
And Edie was.
Edie. Well, we didn't know if she was a boy or girl, right?
I've never. That's an interesting name. I've never really. You don't really hear the name Edie.
No, it's a derivative of Ed.
Ed.
Your dad loved his little brother Ed.
Yeah.
Eddie. And Ed was his, little buddy. Anyway, he wanted to name our first child after Ed. So she was a girl. So Ed, E-D, was Ed.
But very recently, you
feminine.
You just told me though that Edie was actually named. The letter E was for Ed and the letter D was for Dad, for Don.
No, I never knew that.
You told me that last time you were here.
Never heard of that.
When you were here in June.
I must have agreed to something I didn't know because that's not
no,
true.
but this you really. Okay, so it's not Ed
No.
for E for Ed and then
No.
D for Don. It's
because
ED for Ed.
ED for Ed because her middle name's Dawn.
I know,
like
I get that.
Dawn.
No, not like Dawn, like Dusk and Dawn.
Right.
It's-
Anyway.
But so Dawn, her middle name, they put a W into it to feminize
Like a dawn of the
or
morning.
something. Okay. So Edie was named after Uncle Ed. And then Donnie.
Would be after Dawn.
So,
His
so
dad.
Donnie was named after
And
his
Donnie's
dad.
middle name is Patrick. So after
And
Patty.
who's Pat? Oh, really?
Aunt Patty.
So
It's
Patty,
a pretty Irish name. Donald
Patrick.
Patrick
That's very Irish.
Cummins
So Donnie was named after Dad
and Aunt Patty.
and Aunt Patty, and then Mikey,
Is named after Uncle Mike
Uncle Mike,
or Michael the Archangel.
Michael the Archangel,
And,
and then Joey.
Lewis is Michael's middle name, and Lewis is my father's name.
Right,
Lewis.
that's right. That's
Michael
right.
Lewis.
But is Mikey's middle name spelled the same way?
Louis.
Okay.
The same. And then we have Joe. And Joy was named after Josephine, Grandma Josephine, which is your dad's father's mother.
Yeah, that's right. Our
Right.
great grandmother.
Your great grandma, Josephine Cummins.
And she was beautiful.
She was.
She was she was short and little, petite
and smart.
and smart. And she was well dressed. I have pictures.
seamstress.
I have lots of pictures of her. I met Grandpa's adopted son, Mike.
Yeah.
He lives near here in Shingle Springs. And he gave me a lot of pictures, all the scanned pictures of.
Keep in contact with him. He's a wonderful guy.
I still have all these pictures I have yet to give to all of us. But I've got pictures of Grandma Josephine, and she's well dressed.
She made all her clothes.
Made all of them?
Yeah, she was a seamstress.
She was a
That's how
stylist.
she put kids into medical school.
She was a stylist because she had really nicely styled, and in every picture she had she was real hip.
Yeah.
She had all these different clothes and stuff. So Joey was named after Josephine.
And his middle name, Joseph Glenn.
Glenn after his grandpa.
There you go.
Okay, and then me,
Daniel. And Daniel, your middle name is
Freeman.
Freeman. So you were named Daniel because it was a really biblical name and very strong. And it was through the Daniel and the Lion's Den. And it's one of my favorite stories. Plus, Elton John wrote a song out, Daniel, My Brother. I don't even know the title of it. But it always touched my heart.
So
Yeah.
So instead of, because I always heard for so long that we were all named after Bible names.
Yeah.
And then I think it was in the late 90s or early 2000s when you had told me that I was named after Elton John's song.
Well, that was...
So I'm kind of torn between which one is
Couldn't
which.
it been both? Because it's the truth. It was both.
Well, that's fine. I mean, it could be.
Which one was first?
Well, I don't know if I believe any story now. Because,
Actually, I was there, and I kind of like the name Daniel.
And why did you like the name Daniel?
It's beautiful. And I love the name Danielle because you would have been a girl.
Well, if I was a girl, I would have been Danielle.
That's what I
But
meant.
you were saying that you when you were a little girl.
Oh, yeah. I used to love to make little boxes and draw houses and put bedrooms, and I'd have twins and everybody, and everybody had a name. And one of the names I used very frequently was Daniel. And so I kind of like the name Daniel. Daniel was a pretty name. It still is. That's why I call you Daniel. I don't call you Danny. I never have.
So I was named because after
Biblical
well that
story.
that and the song
The song is
and
a big deal.
mainly because you love the name Daniel.
That's right.
Okay,
But
and then
you-
Freeman. I was named Daniel Freeman. Freeman comes from
Your dad's grandpa
my dad's grandfather.
was named Freeman.
Now Freeman was my dad's mother's dad.
That's right.
And a funny, not a funny, but an interesting story that I learned from Dana
Oh, what?
is that Freeman, he grew up in America as a little kid. He was a little kid.
Was
And
it
he didn't-
Nebraska?
I forget where, but he didn't like his family, and he ran away when he was a kid. He caught a train up into Canada, where when he got off, he had nobody. He had not even a coat, and some older gentleman brought him in. He had a farm and took care of him, and that was his honorary. That was his family. This older
Wow.
gentleman up in Alberta, and during World War I, Freeman thought it was important to join and fight. So he did, and he trained as a pilot, as a
Royal-
in the Royal Air Force, yeah, the RAF. And actually, Dana has a picture of him standing with a cane and one hand behind his back, the other hand on his cane in his RAF uniform.
Oh, my.
Yeah.
He was tall, wasn't
He was very tall, yeah. So before he joined though, when the war broke out, he was telling his stepfather, I guess you could say that's what he was, his honorary father, the man, the older gentleman.
Yeah.
He was telling him that he felt it was important to join, and so the older gentleman, the man, he said, "No, don't join. I'll give you the farm. Don't join. You can have this farm if you don't join the army."
Really?
Yeah, but he felt it was important, so he joined anyway, and he became a pilot of biplanes. He flew biplanes. Now we always hear the term learning on the fly. He literally, because planes were brand new, a brand new invention.
What guts?
They literally had to learn on the fly how to fly those things.
He's always watching you. Okay. There you are. So he had a lot of courage.
So
Yeah,
so
a lot of courage.
Freeman had to learn how to be an airline. I mean a bombardier, or I forget what they call them. But those people who flew those biplanes in war, they literally held bombs in their lap,
What?
and they would drop them literally with their hands, drop them out of the cockpit. So like dropping bombs, the term dropping bombs, that was literal. They would literally drop a bomb like this, like they would have it in their lap and they just drop it
With the open air?
in the open. Well, it was open cockpits, So anyway, Freeman was a pilot, and then later on, after he got back, he ended up buying the farm off of that man, and that farm
The one that he had.
is the farm that Dad went to.
I
In
went
the
there
summers,
too.
yeah. When Dad was a kid, he would go there for summer vacations.
Yeah, I know.
And that
Yeah.
farm, Freeman loved his neighbors, which were the Hutterites.
Yeah.
He loved the ideal that they had, being. So he gave that to them after he passed away.
Wow.
So that's a little thing about Grandpa Freeman.
Well, he didn't quite because Grandma had it. His nanny had it after he passed away. Nanny still.
Oh,
had
and
it.
then Nanny gave it to the.
I didn't know she gave it to them.
Yeah, the land was given to the Hutterites.
Okay.
except the mineral rights.
Your dad's does.
All of the children have.
I hope you are.
So all the children of him. So that's dad. All the children.
I hope you are on there.
Yeah, I'm one of the children.
Good.
All of his children. So, and then Nick. That brings us to Nick.
Jolly old Saint Nick.
So Nick was born
The 29th of December, and we listened to that song, Jolly Old Saint Nicholas, and it was perfect we were hoping for another girl.
So there was a stereo
boy.
at home that was at the house. There was a little black stereo. You had all these tapes.
Yep. Played music all the time. It was on a baker's rack, and the little stereo was up on the top, and we always had lots of music, all kinds of kids' music all the time, and yeah.
And that song, Jolly Old Saint.
That's right. Jolly old Saint Nicholas, lend your ear this way. Don't you tell a single soul what I'm gonna say. Christmas comes but once a year, time is fleeting fast. Da 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 da. Anyway, it was because of that song. And Goofy sang it. Little Goofy's voice of the Disneyland.
Right.
Goofy, yeah. So anyway, what's that.
And then, so Nicholas was named after Jolly Old Saint Nicholas because he was born on the 29th
Of December.
of December.
And we got the name Nick.
And Nicholas Samuel, where does Samuel come from?
Samuel came from your dad's high school. Wait, sorry, that's another one.
Samuel.
Samuel came from Hutterite. He had the sheep camp. Samuel was the guy over the sheep camp where we used to live out on the sheep camp, a little house on the colony when we had Donnie and Edie and Mike. And we lived there in Alberta in Pincher Creek. And so that was Dad's good friend, Samuel. So he wanted to name Nick Samuel with his name.
That's cool. And then that brings us to Stephen.
Stephen was named after your dad's good friend in high school. That was
Dad's best friend in high school?
Yeah. That he grew up with. And he passed away in a car accident in his senior year.
In his senior year?
Yeah.
That's hard to take.
And so Stephen was named after Steve Shack.
So why was
his last name.
Steve Shack? So why was Stephen... so why did Dad wait so long to name him after his friend?
Well, we've had 7 boys.
Well, Stephen was the 6th born.
Everybody had precedence.
So all the names were more important than the name in one. Not that they're more important, but
it thought of specially. Actually, we didn't know we were going to have 7 boys.
Okay, all right.
So when you came up, you had to think of things.
Right.
And why you'd want it, and that's how it was special that way.
So Stephen was named after Dad's best friend in school.
Yes.
Who passed away in a car accident.
That's correct.
And how did
Mason?
How did he get his middle name, Mason?
Mason is Grandma Mickey's middle name, as well as a family name on her dad's side. So I believe Frederick Mason Johnson was Grandma Mickey's father's middle name. Grandma Mickey's middle name is Mason.
And where does Mason come from her?
That I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know if it was a last name carried down.
Or a first name from somebody else?
Yeah, I think it could be a last name, but that's good to check it out.
So Stephen's middle name comes from his grandmother and his great-grandfather.
Yeah.
And then that finally brings us to
David. Our doctor's name was David.
David Lynch.
Yep. And you know what? He was the best doctor.
He is.
Also, David's a great, strong name. Because if you look at Don, Mike, Joe, right? Daniel, Stephen, and it's like all these, and Nick. They're all beautiful names, I think. They're all about, like, they're not Tyler and And
Well, wait a minute. What's wrong with the name Tyler?
nothing is, but what I'm saying is these are like Michael and Daniel. Those are
So
pretty
David,
traditional.
where does David's name come from?
Because of David Lynch. We wanted.
You named him after your doctor, really?
Yeah, I love the name David. It was so strong. But the cool part is his middle name,
David Vaughn.
Vaughn, Vaughn,
Vaughn, yeah.
came from a relative of your dad's in Ireland. Was an opera singer.
No way.
Yeah, his name was Vaughn Cummins.
Vaughn Cummins, really?
Yeah, and he was an opera singer in England, in Ireland.
Wow.
So that's where David's Vaughn.
I noticed that on your shirt it says love.
Yeah,
How appropriate.
yeah, it's kind of dirty too.
And then Mike's got a shirt that also says love.
Yay, Mike!
This is my best friend right here, Mike, who I take care of. Mike's an awesome guy. Me and Mom help Mike a lot, right, Mom?
We are honored to be able to do that. Yeah,
Mom flies here a lot to help me with Mike.
and Bob's here with us too.
And Bob helps us. Right, Bob? He
does.
says, that's right. That's right. Let's see you swim on the carpet, Bob. This is how I swim, and this is how I swim. And then we have little Buddy. Buddy! Buddy, look! Buddy. See, we have little Buddy and little Skylar.
Oh,
This is my little Bubba right here. My little Buddy. And Skylar. Skylar is Buddy's grandson. And then we have Honey Bump. Honey, look. Good girl. Good girl.
How did you find the name Honey Bump?
Honey Bump comes from a documentary called Growing Up Grizzly. Growing Up Grizzly.
Of growing up grizzly.
Growing Up Grizzly. And it's narrated by Brad Pitt.
Oh,
And there's these two orphaned grizzly bears. I think it's in the early 2000s. One is named Little Bart, and the other one they named Honey Bump. And I like the name Honey Bump, so I named her Honey originally. When I first found Honey, remember when I first found you at the park? I walked up to her, and I simply said, I took Buddy's collar. I was walking Buddy, and I took Buddy's collar off of him and put it on Honey because she was just sitting there. Somebody threw her out of a truck in the middle of the night. And so I put the collar on Honey, and I sat there and I was just looking at her. And I said these words. I said, I think I'm going to call you Honey. And so I named her Honey. And then I just kind of didn't want to be cheesy, so I named her Honey Bump.
that's cute.
So it kind of morphed to Honey Bump.
Yeah, yes. Aww.
And then Buddy, I originally named Buddy something else. I originally was going to call him Bear Toe, like a bear's toe,
Oh, Berto.
because he's little,
No,
you know.
that's cute.
And so when I was training him, I was trying to be really polite and stuff.
Yeah.
I was trying to be like really nice, and so I kept calling him Buddy. It's like, come here, Buddy, come here. So I just named him Buddy. It just turned to Buddy.
Yeah.
And then Skylar.
Yeah, I like the name Skylar.
Skylar.
You
It's Skylar,
Oh, it is Skylar.
spelled with an A,
Okay.
A-R.
Skylar.
Skylar was named because I couldn't think of a name. I couldn't think of a name. So I just named him Skylar. I was like,
That's a cool name.
how about Skylar? And then Bob,
Oh, what good.
and then Bob came to us already named Bob. And we kept the name because we love that name. Right, Bob? Right, Bob?
Oh, he likes that one.
And Bob chews on anything that's soft. He says, that's right.
So, do you like your name?
Do I like my name?
Yes. How do you feel about Daniel Freeman?
Well, it's kind of grown on me.
Okay. But would you like the name Daniel?
If I were to choose a name,
Yeah.
I don't think I would choose that name. I don't think anybody would choose the
You are
name.
so Daniel.
No. I think that truly, I don't think that anybody would choose the name that they were given. Oh, I don't know
What
though.
would you like?
I don't know. Something like Diamond Gold Star. I don't know. something. Something I don't know. Like I was just kidding.
Sparkle.
Okay, now we're gonna end the video.
Okay, bye.
This was my interview with Louette,
That'd be me.
and we love you.